By now, you may have heard the term Internet of Things. Sounds interesting, but what does the Internet of Things actually mean? IoT is an evolution of mobile, home, and embedded applications that are being connected to the Internet, integrating greater compute capabilities and using data analytics to extract meaningful information. Billions of devices will be connected to the Internet, and soon, hundreds of billions of devices. As related devices connect with each other, they can become an intelligent system of systems. And when these intelligent devices and systems of systems share data over the cloud and analyze it, they can transform our businesses, our lives, and our world in countless ways.
Now that we know what the Internet of Things is in a basic way, I have here Professor Ochtenstein, who's an expert on the Internet of Things, and he's going to elaborate on how it will affect or change our daily lives. There you go.
Thank you. So basically, the Internet of Things is the continuing development of electronics and how it's affecting our world and our daily lives. And this includes in transportation and health and exercise. In transportation, there's things such as parking sensors, which lets you know when a parking spot is open, or in health and exercise is wearable tech, which can keep track of your progress and things like that. And this leads into smart homes as well.
Let's stroll into the living room of the future. Now, immediately, this room identifies you and taps into a cloud-based profile of preferences like climate control, music, lighting, and decor. Had a long day at work? The room knows, based on the calendar app on your phone and biosensors that detect the stress via blood pressure and heart rate. So it turns off the rockabilly surf guitar you usually listen to and switches to a more soothing classical music. From environmental sensors outside and maybe even worn within your clothing itself, it knows it was snowing earlier, so the climate control begins to crank up the heat in anticipation as you walk through the door. Now, on the software side, we're talking about algorithms that are so sophisticated, they may be able to predict what you want before you know you even wanted it. So when The latest version of Internet Protocol, IPv6, creates more potential addresses than there are atoms on the surface of the Earth. So we're going to live in a world completely filled with sensors, with data, reacting to us, changing every moment dependent upon our needs. I'm no longer going to be asking you, hey, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite music? I'm going to ask you, what's your reality like? I know what mine is when I walk into my house, how the world reacts to me, but how does it react to you? This is more than philosophy. It's more than technology. It is altering reality as we know it.
Governments around the globe are racing to infuse technology into just about every aspect of its city's operations. And I mean every part.
Including public transportation, IT connectivity, water and power supply, sanitation and solid waste management, efficient urban mobility, e-governance, and citizen participation.
And it does this using every buzzword imaginable, from big data. Singapore launched its own Smart Nation program in 2014 and will add more cameras like these so the government can effectively monitor crowd density, cleanliness of public spaces, and even the exact movement of every locally registered vehicle.
Much of the data it's collecting will be fed into an online platform called Virtual Singapore that gives the government access to how the city is functioning in real time. It could help the government predict how crowds might react to an explosion in a shopping mall, or how infectious disease might spread.
A decade ago, robots still seemed pretty limited. Now, not so much. And computers don't just win chess anymore, they can win Jeopardy!
Watson, what is the elegance of the hedgehog?
They can win Go!
There are about 200 possible moves for the average position in Go.
This is all happening really fast, and it's causing some to forecast a future where humans can't find work.
There will be fewer and fewer jobs that a robot cannot do better.
And what are the people going to do?
That's the $64,000 question.
I believe this is going to be one of the biggest challenges we face in the coming decades.
People who are not just unemployed, they are unemployable.
But if you ask economists, they tend to have a pretty different view from the futurists and Silicon Valley.
Do you worry that new technologies could cause mass unemployment?
Yes.
No.
Devoted my career to worrying about the labor market, particularly worrying about the living standards of low and moderate income workers. So I worry a lot about things. I am not worried about this.
One of the reasons a lot of economists are skeptical about robots taking all the jobs is that we've heard that before.
There was a spike of automation anxiety in the late 20s, early 1930s, when machines were starting to take over jobs on farms and also in factories. This article from 1928 points out that there were guards who used to open and close the doors on subway trains and people who took tickets before there were turnstiles. And I just love this quote. It says, "Building materials are mixed like dough in a machine and literally poured into place without the touch of a human hand." Automation anxiety surged again in the late 1950s, early 1960s. President Kennedy ranks automation first as job challenge. Computers and automation threaten to create vast unemployment and social unrest. What you realize when you look through these old reports is that it's really easy for us to see the jobs being replaced by machines. It's a lot harder to visualize the jobs that come from what happens next.
New technology creates jobs in a few ways. There are the direct jobs for people who design and maintain the technology, and sometimes whole new industries built on the technology. But the part we tend to forget is the indirect effect of labor-saving inventions. When companies can do more with less, they can expand, maybe add new products or open new locations. And they can lower prices to compete. And that means consumers can buy more of their product. Or if we don't want more of it, we can use the savings to buy other things.
In transport, connecting vehicles, locations and so forth to the internet provides a great opportunity to help people find their way around.
I think the Internet of Things is a good thing. Really, it just comes back to people and consumer behaviour. And I think millennials especially have this understanding they want to be connected at all times. And I think making the world more relevant and helping millennials navigate around the world in a more seamless way is a great thing.
I think the Internet of Things is still in its infancy. Ultimately, it should be something that's incredibly useful for people, but its primary role is not for marketing. Its primary role is to help make people's lives easier.
I think the Internet of Things is a fantastic opportunity for everybody, for consumers, for the industry. People will engage and give up whatever data they want to give up, and when they voluntarily give up data through the Internet of Things, it gives us an opportunity to serve them more relevant messaging, more appropriate products.